So today, as you can see, a little bit roomier vehicle I'm in today. This is the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. It's the TRD Pro version, which is pretty awesome. There's a few things that I'm not a huge fan of. Most of them are things that when you own a vehicle of this size, you're gonna understand, namely efficiency. But today we're gonna talk about this, the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. Let's get back into it. So welcome back to techgooch, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, today we're in the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. This is the TRD Pro model. It does have the hybrid engine in it, which usually when you hear hybrid, you're thinking, oh, it's going to be more efficient. Well, in this case, it's not so much about efficiency. I'm sure they gain a little bit, but it's definitely more about power and torque and things like that. Now, last year in 2023, I did the 2023 model. It was a Platinum Series. It was a wonderful vehicle, but just like the Tundra, and this is the large SUV version of the Tundra platform, there are things that are great and there are things that are not perfect. And we are going to go through the interior. Most of them are in the interior, but this is the TRD Pro version. So this is the off-road behemoth. This has got some awesome outside. The look of it is fantastic. The color is this kind of burnt orange color. It is a wonderful looking vehicle. I give them all sorts of props for the look because it looks awesome. And it drives great. With the plush suspension, it is fantastic. It makes me miss my TRD off-road Tacoma that I used to own. Loved that truck, and this brings back a sensibility from that. So without further ado, we're gonna jump around the outside. Now, it is snowing today. I tried to do this video earlier, yesterday and the day before, but it was raining. So instead of rain, now we got snow. So I got snow all over the vehicle, but then again, it's the TRD Pro. It should look dirty and stuff. It should have snow all over it or whatever. It's a blast. So without further ado, let's get into this guy. Okay, so here we are on the outside of the 2024 Toyota Sequoia. This is the TRD Pro Hybrid with the hybrid engine in it. Right away, you can tell it looks fantastic, even with all the snow on it. This wonderful kind of burnt orange, they call it Terra. It's kind of like terracotta clay kind of color. I really like it. The wheels are awesome. You look in here and you can see the suspension. I don't know how well that's going to show up. There we go. Everything about this vehicle just screams off-road and awesome. Even comes with the rack up top. Now, I don't think they take into account the fuel economy with that rack on top, because that sucker does howl in the wind, and I'm pretty sure it reduces the efficiency of this vehicle quite a bit. But if you're buying this big TRD Pro version, you're probably not looking for this most efficient vehicle in the world. Now, everything about this vehicle is sophisticated. I did the review last year on it. I loved the look of it then. And of course, now with the TRD Pro package on it, everything about it just looks that much better. So let's get to the inside. You know, before we jump in, I do want to bring this up. There is a light bar in here, the TRD Pro light bar, and that is in the front grille. So I did want to point that out. So that light bar, we're going to go over this real quick, is a button down here. You do have to have your headlights on, and you have to have your brights on to use it because it's so bright. But then you can see it's on or off. And if we go to the front, there she is. Now, of course, it's not super dark out, but when that's dark out, that thing is bright as heck. All right, let's jump in the front seat. Now, right away, before I close it, seat controls. So back here, we do have all of our seat controls, lumbar, in and out, backrest, everything, standard stuff. Okay, so on the door, standard window controls, mirror controls, being able to fold your mirrors in and out, seat controls. I'm not going to go through all the buttons on here. I do recommend you checking out my 2023 review. I will put that in the description and at the end. I wanted to more focus on the differences with the 2024 TRD Pro. So this is the TRD Pro, and that's what I want to focus on this specific video. But I am going to say some things that do carry weight on everything. You have TRD branding on everything. We already just went over the light bar out front. which is really cool and is bright as heck. But you cannot use this unless you have the lights on and your brights on. So you have to be able to, or I should say, you have to be needing as much light as possible before that becomes available. So that is something to say. TRD branding on the steering wheel, we know over that. TRD branding on the shift lever. We have this wonderful Toyota with the red background badging there. TRD floor mats down here that are in at least the vehicle that I have here. The seats themselves, TRD Pro written on both the front seats. And of course you do have the color in the lacing in the middle seats as well. The start button is a TRD start button. This thing screams TRD, right? And that's what you should expect when you get the TRD Pro package regardless. Now, things that I like is how much room you have. It's a Sequoia or a Tacoma. It's got tons of room. The things I don't like, and I will say this, I like the driver information cluster. It's fantastic. Things I don't like, fuel economy. Now, of course, this has the TRD package, so the off-road tires. This has that overlanding rack on top. It's got things that are not going to be the most efficient, even with the hybrid engine that this thing has. It's rated overall 20, but in town you're not going to get super amazing fuel economy. In Dubuque, Iowa, where I live, we have lots of hills, which means, well, there's 14 miles to the gallon for you. It's not enjoyable in terms of how much gas it's going to go through. The other thing that I don't like as much, and I know that I get kickback on this, is how many buttons there are in this thing. And I said this on the very first Tundra when they brought out the new Tundra. You got buttons galore here, you got buttons galore here, you got buttons and you got more buttons, you got buttons down here, you got a lot more buttons over here, buttons on the door, buttons on the side of the door, buttons up top, buttons everywhere. And I know you could say buttons and switches. Dear Lord, you could save a lot of these and integrate them into your gigantic touchscreen. I will say this, as much room as you have on this dash, really nice, beautiful, large touchscreen, but as you can see, looking from this angle, it's literally perpendicular to the area of driving. I would love to have this kicked toward the driver. It makes getting to that far side of the screen easier. I think it makes it a little safer, but it also makes looking at the screen a little better because, to be honest, the passengers aren't going to be looking at this so much. Yeah, the front passenger might use it to control what radio station or whichever is going on. But in this case, you can see wireless CarPlay, so that's awesome. But I don't like how the screen is placed. Because of how big it is and how far it is over, I would like that to kick this way a little bit, make it easier to get to from the driver. And I wish they would put some of the non-essential buttons into the touch panel. But that's something I've said from Toyota for a long time. I think they don't use this gigantic screen like they could use it. It is fantastic, obviously, when you're using the cameras for the backup cameras, or in this case, the 360 camera. I think it's fantastic. It gives you so much detail and ability to see things. And it makes everything on the screen that much easier to read. And you know, even CarPlay looks fantastic on it. However, there's so many things you could do with this screen, especially if you gave a user interface that kept a lot of things up all the time. Like even if you were in CarPlay mode, you could still have, you know, touch buttons on the bottom that didn't take up a whole lot of space. There's just things that you could do. And I just wanted to bring that up again. I know it's again, and I know I'm beating a dead horse on that one, but that is something I did want to say. Just some quick things before we go to the back seat. We do have a dash cam recorder on this guy, if you can see it up there. We do have our Qi charger. We have a very nice large center console with plenty of storage in the middle there. It is a little different, but you do have the nice armrests. You can lift the whole thing up if you want, and then get in here and you have your USB ports as well. So it is nice that you can leave this and still have access in here. They're usually even coin slots. You don't see those very often anymore. And then you do have this nice little pocket up top and glove box. Glove boxes are nice. All right, let's go in the back seat. Now it is a full-size vehicle, which means even with the seat back as far as that is, it's got plenty of leg room, plenty of room. Even if we jump back here, which I'm just gonna go back. So even in the back room, it's not the most comfortable because things are very vertical right now, but I have plenty of leg room. I can also can lean back or lean forward. Now, of course, if there's stuff in the back, I may not be able to do that. And the other thing to think about back here is head height. You're not going to have as much all the way in the back, but I'm 5'11". I'm not hitting my head. And so that's what that button looks like to lean. And then we do have USB-C charging back in the back as well. We do also have that. Last is the wonderful top here with the nice panoramic roof. Pretty awesome. Obviously sunroof there if you really wanted to open it, but of course with the moisture up there, I'm not going to do that this time. Here are the climate controls that are in the middle row. And then we do have our USB-A and USB-C, and then also AC plug back here. So plenty of options. Now we do have, you can see that little wireless symbol, the ability to jam our foot under there and raise the back hatch. And now with the back seat up, you don't have a ton of room. We do have this nice shelf here. So there is that. We can take that out. We can also put it down, put it up, and vary, I guess, how we use this back section. But with the seats down, then you have tons of storage. But that's how much storage you're gonna have in the back of the Sequoia. Driving wise, like I said before, this vehicle is very comfortable. Because of the plush suspension that comes on the TRD Pro package, really nice, even on really kind of rough terrain, or big potholes or anything. That's not to say that you're not going to feel the bump. Like, obviously with this very uneven road right now, it goes back and forth, of course, but it's very comfortable. Now, I'm also a realist. I know for a fact that some of the things that I dislike about this are intentional. The people that don't like touchscreens want the physical buttons. I think those people, to be honest about it, would appreciate if the screen wasn't so flat against the dash and it came out and was easier to access from the driver's seat. That's just my own thoughts. So I understand why they put as many buttons and toggles and switches on this thing as they do. I just personally, and of course coming from a vehicle that doesn't have almost any buttons or toggles, I appreciate a more minimalistic design that focuses on the things that you use more frequently and doesn't focus on the buttons that maybe you barely ever touch. That is all I really wanted to say about that part. Now the last thing is, this is the TRD Pro package, but all the Sequoias all have this towing haul mode and drive mode selector button. And so on this one, I have the capability to go between normal, sport, and eco. So down below, something I didn't talk about by the drive selector is the drive mode button. So we have, on drive mode, I can go with this dial, go between normal, sport, and eco modes. Normally I've been driving an eco to see if it really makes a huge difference on economy. But as I've already said, it's not the most energy efficient vehicle. It does tame things down, but with the off-road package, as well as it being colder and not as nice out recently, and then along with that roof rack, I can't say that I've been getting great fuel economy. I can go to tow haul mode, which obviously is what it is. If you're towing a trailer, that's something that you may want to be able, may use. MTS mode and DAC crawl mode, and that's going to be more for your off-roading capability. So that's what you can do down here on this dial, is change between those modes. You also have a button that you can lock your rear differential, which obviously makes a lot of sense if you're using the TRD Pro. Now, something that I really do like the fact that you can do is you can turn on your back camera at any time while you're driving. And that's more than anything else. If you're towing anything, I can just hit the camera view button that you would normally see the 360 view, and it's going to actually bring up the rear camera, like your backup camera, and then you can look down to make sure that things are actually coupled right. It stays on for whatever it is, 5 seconds or so, and then it automatically turns itself off, and then you can obviously go back into it whenever you want. There is this this trailer backup button as well, which essentially helps automatically allows you to back a trailer straight up without you really doing anything. It takes over the steering and everything like that to do that. Now this vehicle does have all the standard safety features that you would expect out of a more modern Toyota. Lane changing, keeping you in the lane, with steering assist to actually keep you in the lane. It's a wonderful vehicle, and it's your standard Toyota lineup of safety features. Now I'm going to put it in sport mode just to get an idea of what the giddy up this thing has, because it does have giddy up. We'll get out in the lane first because it is nice and wet. Now, of course, that probably didn't help with my fuel economy, but it was fun. And that is one thing that you may, I don't know how well you have noticed, but this vehicle has a specific sound. It's not a quiet vehicle. When you start it up in the morning, on the outside even, it has a girthy rumble to it. It's got a twin turbo V6 with that hybrid engine in it as well. It is pretty awesome sounding if you like that girthy sound that you would typically get out of a V8. It has that similar sound to it. It sounds pretty good. So all in all, this vehicle sits just below 83,000, like it's 82.9. Now the last year model I did, which was the four-wheel drive Platinum series, doesn't have all the fancy off-road packages and everything like that. That one with all its bells and whistles was sitting just below 80 at like 79 and some change. We're not too far off what the last year model was, but this one has all the fancy off-road package with the really nice tires and everything. I really like this vehicle. The only thing, aside from some of the interior features that I wish would change, these are not things that I would be like, oh, I'm not buying that vehicle because it has too many buttons. That's not it. That's me making gripes about anything I can. It's the fuel economy. I have to, like I just went on a trip out of town and I purposefully didn't take this vehicle because I didn't want to pay for the gas that I would have to pay. Now, of course, it was just me going, and this would have been a very comfortable vehicle with just me going, but I didn't want to pay for the gas for a 6-hour round trip ride. It's kind of crazy how much this thing wants to go when you're in sport mode. In eco mode, it's definitely more mellow. So that's that. That's the 2024 Toyota Sequoia TRD Pro. I know I rambled on. If you stayed to the end, kudos to you. Thanks for watching. And as always, like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think. If there's a specific vehicle that you think I should compare this to, let me know. Man, I love everything about this, except really, I just wish it was, I wish they had a version that was more in like the 25 mile per gallon range. But for the large SUV that it is, I do understand. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you again soon. Whirr. Whirr. I love the sound of it.